Hi, I'm Rachel Zaleski, and this is Jason Zaleski, and together we bring to you the Zaleski Sports Show. Today, and every week, we bring you intelligent, educational, interesting, and easy to digest sports information, covering local all the way to national sports content. We use visual aids and statistics and sometimes some hands-on demonstration. So thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. Today we are going to be talking about last week's NFL playoffs, this week's coming up NFL playoffs. We're going to be discussing the Sports 101 question of the week, last week's sports and things that happened in the community, this week's community projects and sports, and just some other sporting things on TV to watch. Also, stay tuned to the end because we're going to be talking about bowling and billiards and why that's important.
That's right.
Okay, Jason, so this week we just finished off the first week in NFL playoffs. So how did it go? What is your take on it?
Boy, well, we had a very exciting time watching the playoffs this past weekend. My daughter came home from UW-Eau Claire, and so between the two of us and Marissa and Trevor, we had a fun time watching the playoffs. It was another exciting edition of the NFL playoffs, and so it went like this. Things pretty much went as we had thought that they would. All the top seeds won. The lower seeds lost. We started out with the Oakland Raiders losing to Houston, as we had predicted. We also saw Miami lose relatively badly to Pittsburgh. We saw the Green Bay Packers defeat the Giants. A little bigger margin of victory than we thought, but nevertheless they did. And then we also saw Detroit go down in flames over in Seattle. So the games, though, were exciting at times, even though they went as we thought they would. It was still a lot of fun to watch, and we were really looking forward to this week and watching all the games again this week.
Absolutely. So this week's games include, the first game will be on Saturday. That will be the Seattle Seahawks at the Atlanta Falcons. That's at 3:35 p.m. Saturday, January 14th on Fox. So go ahead and tell me what you think is going to happen there.
Yeah, what I see happening there, so we have 4 games coming this weekend. 3 of the 4 games are rematches from earlier in the season, so that's pretty exciting. That doesn't happen that often. 2 of the games are actual Week 6 rematches, so from a specific week in the season, those 2 teams are rematching. We'll talk about all 4 of them. The first one, though, Rachel, you talked about was Seattle at Atlanta. That's a Week 6 rematch, and back in Week 6, it was one of those come-from-behind games that I talked about last week. So the NFL set a record in 2016 for the most fourth-quarter come-from-behind wins, and that Week 6 matchup was one of those where we saw Seattle come from behind to beat Atlanta in Seattle. Now this time around, Seattle goes to Atlanta in the playoffs. I think we're going to see a little bit different outcome this time. The Seahawks defense is missing some players. Atlanta scores fast. They score early. They score often. I see Atlanta winning this game somewhere around 30-13. Atlanta taking home the victory as the 2 seed.
Very good. I think that the Seattle Seahawks are actually going to do well in this game. I think they will win. I think Russell Wilson really wants this win, and I think they will be the winners of this game.
Interesting.
Yes.
All right.
The second NFL playoff game this week will be on Saturday as well, later in the evening at 7:15 p.m. It's going to be the Houston Texans against the New England Patriots, and that is also on CBS.
Right, so that's the second game, Saturday evening. This is also a rematch from earlier this year. These 2 teams met in Week 3, where we saw the New England Patriots just demolish the Texans 27-0. That was when Jacoby Brissett was the quarterback for the New England Patriots, while Tom Brady was serving a 4-game football deflation suspension. Tom Brady's back. I see it happening again this week. I see the Patriots winning easily at home against the Texans. The Texans are outmatched in every way, just like they were in Week 3, except now we get to see Tom Brady back on the field. Give me another 27-0 score on this one.
I also think that the Patriots are going to do a great job and be the victors on this game. I also agree with you that the Texans don't hold a flame to that candle for this game, so I do believe that they are going to go down in flames. So The third NFL playoff game this weekend is going to be held Sunday, the 15th, on NBC at 12:05 p.m., the early game. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus, or playing at and against, the Kansas City Chiefs. Go ahead, Jason. What do you think?
Yeah, that's right. And so I may have misspoke earlier. I said 3 of these games were rematches. All 4 of these games are rematches from earlier in the season. So it's very exciting when teams get to play multiple times, especially when teams look for revenge in the playoffs, and that's exactly what the Chiefs are going to get now. They're going to get revenge. In Week 4, we saw the Kansas City Chiefs go up to Pittsburgh and just get it handed to them, 43-14. We probably all felt sorry for the Chiefs at that time. Pittsburgh was just rolling. I think it's going to be a little different this time. So, as we learned last week, the top 2 seeds get a bye in the first round of the playoffs, and this happened to the Chiefs. So the Chiefs are coming off a bye. Coach Andy Reid is 19-2 in his career after a bye. Kansas City's got one of the toughest home crowds in all the NFL. I've been to Kansas City twice for football games. Had a great time, really admired their fans and their situation there. I think Pittsburgh's going to have a tough time dealing with that crowd noise there. The home of the Chiefs. The last time that the Chiefs had a playoff win, it was against the Steelers, but it's been so long ago that players, Hall of Fame players like Marcus Allen and Joe Montana were playing back then. That's how long it's been. It's going to be a little different this time. Pittsburgh is also scoring 7 points per game less on the road this year. That'll factor in. I'll give it to Kansas City 22-17 against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday.
Interesting. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win for a different reason. And I think the reason will be because I, too, was with you on one of those trips to Kansas City. And
you were.
I was. And we went to that game together. And I think that those fans can be kind of emotional. So they'll take either side. Sometimes they can be kind of rowdy and mean and rude to their own players. But other times I think they are really supportive. And this is one of those supportive games that I think they'll help to carry a win for their team.
All right.
The last playoff game this week is also Sunday, later that evening on Fox Network. It's going to be the Green Bay Packers at the Dallas Cowboys. Jason, what do you think?
Well, we've been waiting all year since Week 6 for this game. I thought it would happen even back then, and here we go. So this is our second rematch from Week 6. So we had Atlanta, Seattle, and then Green Bay and Dallas. And so here's our last and final game. It's going to be the best game of the weekend by far. Back in Week 6, we saw Ezekiel Elliott rack up 157 yards against the Green Bay Packers. I don't think their defense has changed much since that time. We also saw Aaron Rodgers throw for 294 yards during that game. I don't know how much more he can do this week. That was a pretty good performance. He may do a little better, but we'll find out. Dallas won 30-16 during that game. That was the worst home loss, regular season home loss, that Aaron Rodgers has suffered as a Green Bay Packer. So just some fun stats there. I think both teams have improved since October. I think, though, that there are some differences, and we'll see those develop on Sunday. One is Jordy Nelson projected to be out for this game. Big loss for the Green Bay Packers. In Week 6, Dez Bryant was sidelined with a knee injury. He's back for this game. So you take Jordy out for the Packers, you put Dez in for the Cowboys. I think that's just going to make a big difference. I think the score is something like 27-17 Cowboys with about 30 seconds left. Packers throw in a garbage time touchdown. They close it to 27-23. Cowboys, number 1 seed, they advance against the Packers.
Very good. I do stand corrected. I did not give the time of that game. That will be at 3:40 on Sunday night. So I believe that my opinion is that the Dallas Cowboys will be the victors, but primarily because of the fact that they have quite a few, at least 2 big rookies on the team this year, and those rookies are hungry for a win, and I do believe that because they don't know the stress that comes with these playoff games, I think that doesn't matter. That's going to help drive them to a win.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. The rookies just maybe aren't quite sure how heavy the situation is, and certainly won't have that stress to have to deal with on Sunday.
Absolutely. So that's going to go ahead and bring us to our next topic on the segment on the show. Basically, quarterbacks are really important to teams, and one of the Sports 101 questions that we have for viewers this week will be, what is a quarterback drop? So can you explain a little bit more about how that works?
Yeah, so Rachel, you said it. The quarterbacks are usually the most important player on the team. 29 of the 32 teams in the NFL have a situation where the quarterbacks are the highest paid player on that particular team. And so they're highest paid because they are really the most important player on that team. They have the ball virtually every play, and most games fall right on the shoulders of the quarterback to win. So yes, very important the quarterback is to that team. One of the components of the passing game is how the quarterback, after getting the snap or the hike from the center, is how they position themselves on a passing play to throw the ball. And in the NFL or in football, we call that a quarterback drop. So in basic terms, there are a couple different numbering titles that we give to the drop: a 1, 3, or 5-step drop. And what that means is when that quarterback takes that ball from the center, they are stepping backwards or dropping back 1, 3, or 5 steps.
You should show us.
In a basic fashion.
You should get up and just show us. Go ahead.
Okay. So the quarterback takes that ball. Okay. They take it back, and then 1, 2, or 3. And I'm going any further, I'll end up back in the TV here. So.
Okay.
But looking at those drops, there's really just one reason why that type of drop happens, and the more the quarterback drops back, the further his receivers have to progress down the field. So on a 1-step drop, it's hike. I'm stepping once and I'm throwing. I'm throwing on that first step. On that 5, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, and then I'm throwing. So as you can imagine, the more steps that quarterback has to drop back, the further those receivers can get down the field. And you'll see those longer passing plays generally on those bigger drops. On those shorter intermediate 1 or 3-step drop, you're also going to have a shorter or intermediate route for those receivers, and you'll get some of those 10 to 15-yard passes. On those 5-step drops, that's where you see the big 30, 40, 50-plus yard passes.
Now, a question here. Do most quarterbacks already have a set amount of steps that they want to drop back to? Is it just strictly related to the play, or is it related to their comfort level? How often and why does it happen?
Yeah, and I think that's a good question, Rachel. So sometimes a newer quarterback may not be as comfortable or have learned enough to do some of those drops. Generally, though, it's the play call. So the certain play is called. It also in that when the teams and the quarterback practice. He knows how many steps he has to take to execute that particular play.
Now, is it true that the defense that they're playing against, depending on how well they play, the defense that's coming at them, do they go ahead and take less or more steps depending on that? I mean, are they wanting to get that ball moved quickly because the defense is coming after them so fast? Yeah,
I think one thing I thought of when you were asking that question was, how many times have you been watching football at home and you say to yourself, throw the ball, why didn't he throw the ball? Well, there was a 5-step drop call. The receiving patterns were that far down the field, and he would have thrown the ball, except his receivers aren't looking for it at that time. His receivers are expecting him to take the full 5-step drop. They've got their 30 or whatever yard pattern to run. So he is not throwing the ball because that receiver is not ready to catch that ball yet.
All right, wonderful. That makes a lot of sense. Thanks for clearing that up.
You got it.
The next thing I wanted to talk about is local sports. So again, we have a lot of wonderful things going on here in Marshfield. Jason, what do you have for us in store this week?
Yeah, well, let's first start with some other things on TV to watch this week. If football is not your thing, we do have a couple other things that folks can tune into. Let's start on Saturday on the 14th. The highlight really of the college basketball weekend to me is number 7 Duke is at Louisville. That takes place at 11 o'clock on ESPN. Grayson Allen, guard for Duke, has been in a little bit of a situation over the past couple weeks. He was actually suspended about a week and a half ago for kicking a player. Perhaps he may have kicked somebody else on Sunday night. That's left for some interpretation. And then just last night, it looked like while he was diving for a loose ball into the visiting team's bench, he pushed one of their coaches. So interesting game to watch. It's two highly ranked teams, number 7 and number 14. But keep an eye on Grayson Allen and find out where his feet are and where they shouldn't be.
Speaking of that, I just want to interrupt. Can you tell me just a little bit of snippet of what is March Madness? Is that a loaded question?
Boy, yeah, I think let's jot that down for
Okay.
a future show. March Madness is one of the greatest times of the year, and I think we're going to talk a lot about that in about 3 weeks.
Okay, a lot of people are excited about
Yeah,
that.
you got it. One more thing to watch on TV is actually coming up on Tuesday, where Michigan travels to Madison, Wisconsin to take on the number 18 Badgers. That's on Tuesday the 17th at 8 p.m. on ESPN.
Wonderful. All right.
Now you want to hear about some local sports.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, excellent.
Go for it. Tell me all about him.
All right. Well, we'll talk about some local sports that are coming up this weekend. We've got Friday, the 13th is coming up. Don't be scared. This is a good day to go out and about. The Marshfield Tiger senior high school boys are at Wausau West. That game is at 7:30. The Marshfield girls then are at home at 7:30 against Wausau West. So take your pick. Take a road trip and go up and watch the boys, or stay home and watch the girls. The Columbus girls on Tuesday the 17th are at Granton. That's at 7:15, so a short 10-mile drive west. You can go watch the Granton Bulldogs and the Columbus Dons play. And then the Columbus boys play Saturday the 13th at 7:30 at Neelsville. They are on a tear this year. They're still undefeated, 10-0. They just dispatched the Loyal Greyhounds this last week, 74-39. So the boys at Columbus are a lot of fun to watch. So go check them out if you can. Also on Tuesday the 17th, the Stratford girls are at Auburndale at 5:45. Stratford girls are 11-2 this year. They're in a position to win their conference. They're having an excellent year. So go check out Stratford. They play at Auburndale again at 5:45 on the 17th. And then hockey. We've got hockey on Sunday. Marshfield varsity plays home to Wausau West, and that's at 7 o'clock.
Wonderful.
So go check some of those things out.
Good job. I can't wait. I know that when I was in high school, I cheerleaded for hockey, and that was in the big city of Minneapolis. So that's always fun to go and watch those games and check out those local players.
Go Teddies.
Yeah, go Teddies. The other thing I wanted to just touch on briefly, because I know that we talked about it last week, there was the matchup between Clemson and Alabama.
College football national title game.
That's right. So what on earth happened? I totally was expecting a win from Alabama, and they totally just did not win.
Yeah, well, about 10 minutes left in the third quarter. Alabama was up 17-7. It looked like it was going to be kind of a defensive battle. Alabama's defense, regarded as one of the best in college football history, was holding firm against 17-7 with 10 minutes left in the third quarter. Fast forward to the end of the game with 1 second left on the clock. Deshaun Watson from Clemson throws a touchdown, puts the Clemson Tigers up, and turned out to be the final score, 34-31, national champion Clemson Tigers.
Wow, and the crowd just goes wild. I can't believe
Probably.
that. We went to bed before that game was done, and we went to bed thinking that Roll Tide had it, but they totally did not. So, anything else happening around town this coming week?
Yeah, I think there's some fun things to do around town. If you're around town includes Wausau, then this is it for you. The 13th through the 15th is the Badger State Winter Games. You can watch the folks up there ski, curl, figure skate, fat tire bike race.
Wow.
And the Badger State Winter Games also includes bowling and billiards. So for some indoor fun at the Badger State Winter Games, hop on inside, watch them bowl or watch them shoot some pool. I think that'd be a lot of fun, something different to do. And as always, check out travelwisconsin.com. They'll give you all the details of where the events are. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Some good family entertainment right here in our area this weekend. Good
deal. Anything else that you want to cover?
I think that just about covers it. I talk to you more about the Cowboys and Packers if you want, but I think we're probably running close to out of time. So just looking forward to watching all the games this weekend.
Absolutely. So you've been watching the Zaleski Sports Show. I'm Rachel Zaleski, and this is Jason Zaleski. If you have any questions or comments or any great topics you want us to talk about or questions we can answer, please feel free to email us at zaleskisportsshow@gmail.com. We welcome all inquiries. You guys all have a fantastic week. Have a safe week celebrating and rooting on your favorite teams who are playing. And we will see you next time. Thank you for watching.
Go Sports!